Coming up, a university group remembers 9/11. Then Governor Kim Reynolds is on a trip in Asia.
And later, an attempt on a former president's life is foiled.
All that and a profile on a candidate for the Iowa spot in the House of Representatives, important dates this week in history, along with making sure your facts are straight.
A recap of last week's debate, the latest from polls, and something for you to consider.
Good evening and welcome to The Update, your home for news and politics.
From the local level to nationwide, we're keeping you up to date. I'm Jordan Tovar.
And I'm Johnny Valtman. And Jordan, as things are picking up here, the countdown to election continues to shrink, and we had a lot of things going on last week. We got some stuff to catch up on, and Jordan, keeping it here in Johnson County, had some stories that kind of felt like cliffhangers. So could you fill us in on I guess we could call it a sequel?
Well, yeah, Johnny, I love a big cliffhanger, and as they say, all big things start small. So in a follow-up from last week, the Johnson County Board of Supervisors has appointed a new executive director after former director Guillermo Morales was fired from office in a 3-2 decision by the board. The board unanimously voted to hire the county's system and project analyst James Bechtel as the new executive director. Former director Morales is now running on a write-in campaign for the Board of Supervisors. Narrowing it down here to Iowa City, the city's housing authority has recently announced that it plans to close its public housing program. The program provides services to families or individuals struggling to find housing. People who use the program are required to pay 30% of their salary to the city. Starting on October 1st, however, applications to the program will close due to a 3-year-long waitlist to apply. Reeling it into campus, the Young Americans for Freedom at the University of Iowa hosted a speaker to commemorate the anniversary of 9/11. Speaker had been in Washington, D.C. in the airport at the time of the attacks and was just 1 day removed from being in the Pentagon, which was also attacked during 9/11.
They volunteered to do this throughout the day to spread what happened and to keep it alive in people so they can internalize it and decide what community engagement means to them and how they can participate in making things better in the future.
And Johnny, as we keep things rolling here, just like that ravioli in the Chef Boyardee commercial,
Jordan, you're going to make me hungry. So before that happens, we're going to send it over to Kayla Smith. And she has some things going on around the Iowa State House and outside the Iowa State House that is making an impact to Iowa.
Thanks, guys. State Auditor Rob Sands released a shocking report on Iowa nursing homes Monday morning. The report showed that the state of Iowa is failing to meet federal mandates regarding inspections of certified nursing homes that are able to accept Medicare or Medicaid. The report also showed that the state is inspecting certified nursing homes at a slower rate than other states, with inspections being on average every 17 months. The federal mandate requires inspections to be every 12 months on average. Iowa is currently ranked 46th across all states in the number of nursing staff per resident, as well as 17th in highest turnover rates among staff. Over half of the nurses who worked at a nursing home in the last year no longer work within the home. Governor Kim Reynolds is on a trip to India for a 10-day trade mission. Reynolds is meeting with Indian government officials and business leaders in an attempt to strengthen Iowa's trade and investment with the country. Reynolds gave a keynote speech at the U.S.-India Business Council's India Idea Summit on Thursday, where she highlighted her desire to have Iowa be a leader among the states in trade relations with India. Reynolds will also be leading 2 Iowa-India trade investment and events where she will meet with business leaders and officials from the U.S. Embassy, U.S. Consulate, and Indian government. Reynolds hopes this trip will create a strong relationship to one of the world's fastest growing economies. Now I'll send it back to you guys.
And Johnny, while Kim Reynolds has been on her world tour, or her Asian tour, we're going to bring it back here to the good old United States.
Yes, Jordan, and we're going to be going outside the United States, but big story that happened Sunday that came out of the United States. Heads turned to another headline about former President Donald Trump's life being in danger. Here's what we know right now. On Sunday at 2:25 p.m., reports of gunshots were reported at the Mar-a-Lago golf course where Trump was golfing at the time. Secret Service reported shortly afterwards that Trump was safe and unharmed. Ryan Routh was spotted in the bushes with an AK-47 style rifle where he was waiting for the former president. Secret Service agents fired at Routh, who fled to his SUV. Routh was then arrested after authorities pulled him over.
But as I watched him and realized he was not asking any questions, like, what's going on? There's cops everywhere. There's men with rifles. There's a helicopter. I-95 is shut down. Why no questions? And I looked at him, I thought, yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy they're looking for, and sure enough, it was.
Ralph made his court appearance Monday morning, being charged with possessing a firearm despite a prior felony conviction and possessing a firearm with an obliterated serial number. There have been no changes to Trump's schedule as he went live on X last night to promote his son's cryptocurrency. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky sat down over the weekend for an exclusive interview. In the interview, Zelensky spoke on an array of things, including a possible peace plan between Ukraine and Russia.
I'm ready to share it with President Biden. Then, of course, I think it will be honest and right to share it with two candidates.
President Zelensky also stressed the role the U.S. has on the decision to use other countries' long-range missiles to strike Russian positions.
Everybody is looking the decision of the United States. Everybody's waiting for such decisions. After that, they make decisions. It's true. And so we wanted very much to use this weapon and just to attack these jets on the military basis, not civilians.
Russia's President Vladimir Putin is threatening that if these long-range missiles are used against Russia, Russia will see this as an act of war from NATO. Putin announced yesterday an increase of soldiers to the Russian army from the range of 180,000 to 1.5 million new troops. Israel reported yesterday that a missile was fired by Iran-backed Houthis rebels from Yemen. The missile landed in an open area near the center of the country. Sirens went off at the Ben Gurion International Airport. The country's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is threatening retaliation for the missile.
The Houthis launched a surface-to-surface missile from Yemen into our territory. They should have known by now that we exact a heavy price for any attempt to harm us. Those who need a reminder on this matter are invited to visit the port of Hodeidah. Anyone who attacks us will not escape from our arms.
Iran's President Mohammad Pezeshkian has denied providing missiles to the rebels. No action has been taken by Israel since the missile was fired. And Jordan, I mean, you brought up the ravioli, and I mean, this continues to be a big ball with all of it, coming to a head in November. While it is going to affect the national candidates, it also trickles back down to Iowa, too.
Yeah, Johnny, like you said, the ball keeps rolling, things keep compiling, but, we always got to bring it back here to the good old state of Iowa, where we're going to send it out to Hannah Lipski, who has today's candidate profile on one of the University of Iowa's very own.
Thanks, Jordan. Let's get into it. Christina Bohannon is running against incumbent Mariannette Miller Meeks in Iowa's 1st District in the U.S. House of Representatives. Bohannon was born in Thomasville, Georgia, July 2, 1971. She's the youngest of 3 and became the first in her family to graduate from college. She has a bachelor's degree in environmental engineering and her Juris Doctor for law, both from University of Florida in Gainesville. She graduated first in her class and was editor-in-chief of the Law Review. She started her legal career as a clerk for the United States Court of Appeals in the 11th Circuit in Montgomery, Alabama. In 2000, she became a law professor at the University of Iowa. She's written a book and several scholarly articles and journals. She specializes in constitutional law, torts, and intellectual property. In 2020, she ran for the Iowa State Legislature for the 85th District, defeating 20-year incumbent Vicki Lensling for the Democratic ticket. She served from 2021 to 2023. Bohannon ran for Iowa's 1st District in 2022 against current Representative Mariannette Miller Meeks, losing to the incumbent. She's running again against Miller Meeks for the same seat. Bohannon is a Democrat running on policies like clean energy, better access to quality and affordable health care, and reproductive rights. In her campaign ads, she promises better drug and grocery prices for Iowans. Now I'll send it over to Kayla for where the presidential nominees have been and where they're going.
The debate may be over, but that doesn't mean the nominees haven't been keeping busy. Vice President Kamala Harris campaigned in Pennsylvania and North Carolina following the showdown between her and former President Donald Trump. Harris used her time in Pennsylvania to speak with voters in rural counties that Trump had previously won by large margins in the 2020 election. It's expected that she will continue with this trend to try and appeal to voters who might not be Democrats but are not in full support of the former president. After her stop in Pennsylvania, Harris challenged former President Trump to another debate at her rally in North Carolina.
And I believe we owe it to the voters to have another debate.
This came soon after Trump posted on Truth Social that there would be no third debate. Harris's next moves include another rally in Pennsylvania before heading to Washington, Michigan, and Wisconsin. In terms of the former president, Trump spent his time post-debate in the Sun Belt, hitting Nevada, Arizona, and California. During this time, he doubled down on his controversial comments on immigration that he made at the debate.
And I'm angry about illegal Haitian migrants taking over Springfield, Ohio. You see that mess, don't you?
Trump is set to make an appearance in Flint, Michigan's town hall, his first appearance since the apparent assassination attempt on Sunday. After his stop in the swing state, Trump is planning on a large-scale rally in Nassau County in Long Island on Wednesday. Residents near the venue are being prepped for increased police presence in the aftermath of the alleged attempt on the former president's life.
At the golf course, yes, of course, we are communicating. Our intelligence center is open. We're sharing intelligence. We are devoting assets to where they're needed, and we will continue to do so.
This will be the safest place in the country on that day on Wednesday.
Now I'll send it back to Jordan and Johnny.
And Jordan, like she mentioned in the debate, there was a lot of talk, a lot of buzz stemming from that debate. And, I haven't really had a chance to sit down and look and see what people thought or any experts' thoughts on it. But, with the people, I wonder who they thought won.
Well, Johnny, everything that's been going on over the past week and everything really that's just been going on over the course of the election cycle, they influence the polls. And currently only presidential debate being last Tuesday night, there's been some unexpected changes in polls, even here in the good old state of Iowa. Following the debate last Tuesday night, number site 538 made an average of polls taken on who won from left, right, and center-leaning websites. Overall, watchers say that Harris won the debate by a 23% margin on average. Even the right-leaning poll used from Red Eagle Politics had Harris as the victor, gapping Trump 53 to 34%. Now, the state of Iowa has proven to be a majority red one over the past couple elections. However, the stronghold that the Republicans have held since 2016 might not have as tight of a grip as you think, according to a new poll. According to the Des Moines Register, while the race is looking closer here than once imagined, Donald Trump still has the edge on Vice President Kamala Harris, leading 47 to 43%, according to yesterday's polls. Now, there's always a lot going on to influence the polls. So many historical events like Trump almost assassinated twice, but they foiled those attempts each time. And those are events that are going to go down in history, Johnny.
Yes, Jordan, and it's going to be crazy. Like a year from now, we're going to be looking back and saying, really, that happened a year ago? But for this week in history, we're going to be going back in time by a lot, because starting on September 16th, 1620, the Mayflower left England with the goal of reaching America. It would take over 2 months for the Mayflower to find its way to America with its 102 passengers. After landing in modern-day Cape Cod, Plymouth Colony was established. Here, those who made the journey established rules and made sure those rules were being followed, and this began to stay. Historians point to this being the seeds of leading to democracy over monarchy in America. With the help of Native Americans, they were able to gather enough food before the winter, but disease would kill over half of those who made the journey before making their way back to England. On this day in 1862, the bloodiest day in U.S. military history occurred at the Battle of Antietam in Maryland. It was the first battle of the Civil War fought in Union territory, as Confederate leader Robert E. Lee led 30,000 plus soldiers against the Union's 53,000 plus soldiers led by George B. McClellan. The Union engaged in battle while Lee was trying to get out of Maryland on a retreat. In a bloodfest full of engagements, counterattacks, and heavy losses, the battle concluded the next day with Lee retreating his army to the other side of the Potomac River. In total, over 3,500 men were killed, an astonishing 17,000 plus were injured, and almost 2,000 more soldiers were captured or unaccounted for. While the Union won the battle, General McClellan failed to chase down Lee, leading to Abraham Lincoln dismissing him from leading the Union Army in November of 1862. For the wrap-up, Operation Uphold Democracy kicked off today by the United States in 1994 to restore a democratic government in Haiti. Chile declared its independence from Spain. New Zealand became the first country to give the woman the right to vote, and one of the best albums of the 80s, Tim by the Replacements, was released.
Now, Johnny, I'm certainly feeling a lot more educated after that, but there's just been one question that's kind of been having me scratch my head, and where's Jayce? Where do you think he's at, Johnny?
Jordan, I was just about to ask you the same thing because I did national news, but he always does fact checks, so this is a bit concerning.
Yeah, well, maybe we should check the newsroom to see if he's there.
It's always worth a shot, so we're gonna take a look in the newsroom and maybe he's there, but we'll see.
I miss him.
Just roll the clip.
For 52 years, they've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states.
For most pro-lifers, the goal is to have abortion banned across the board in the entire country and not simply leave it up to the states.
Abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby.
For one, he's referring to a statement made by Ralph Northam, the former governor of Virginia, not West Virginia. Furthermore, the context of the, quote, will decide quote was that Northam was talking about instances where the baby would be non-viable. In that instance, Northam claims the baby would be made comfortable, potentially resuscitated, and that a discussion would be had, though he never clarified what the discussion would be about. Trump is inferring that the discussion would be about executing a recently delivered baby, which is illegal in all 50 states.
People did the worst withdrawal, and in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
Not true for the simple fact we can't read Putin's mind. While the invasion of Ukraine formally began in 2022, the illegal annexation of Crimea occurred in 2014, and the war on Donbass continued under President Trump. Formally, the Russo-Ukrainian War began in 2022, but fighting dates all the way back to that initial invasion in 2014.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression.
That's not true, actually. While unemployment rates reached to nearly 15% in April 2020, these rates stabilized to around 6% in December of 2020, which is still high, but it's nowhere near the 1930s heights that Harris is talking about. Therefore, Biden and Harris were not, quote, left with catastrophic unemployment rates.
They have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
Okay, where do I start here? One, millions upon millions of immigrants are not entering the country. The U.S. Border Patrol has recorded 10 million encounters with people attempting to illegally enter the U.S. However, many of these encounters have been noted to be people attempting multiple crossings. Also, these are 10 million crossings which have been stopped. Reports estimate 3.6 million immigrants are currently in the U.S. awaiting citizenship hearings. Around 4 million illegal immigrants have been deported this year. This puts the statistics far below Trump's claim during the debate of 21 million illegal immigrants in the country. That would mean nearly half of the reported foreign-born population in the U.S., which is currently 46 million, they would be made up of illegal immigrants. That means nearly entirety of Florida would be illegal immigrants. There have been absolutely no reports to police or Springfield officials of Haitian immigrants stealing and eating dogs. It's always been word of mouth. They heard it from someone told them, they saw it on the TV, and that's just not how the truth works. Yes, there was body camera footage of police arresting a woman for eating a dog in Ohio, and the woman was an American citizen. Okay, there's a lot this week, so let's just move past the debate, okay?
So I hear she got the questions, and I also heard she had something in the ear, a little something in the ear. No, Kamala, do this. Say it this way, Kamala. Okay, be quiet. Too many people watching.
That's just not true. Contrary to what the last 8 years of American politics have shown us, it's standard for presidential candidates to prepare speeches and talking points before a debate. Furthermore, if Harris had a remote earpiece on stage, how could they ensure there would be no feedback with the microphone while she's talking? Look, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing me talk for the entire time, so I'm going to keep this week's for consideration short, and we're going to play a little game with numbers, all right? As of 2021, there are reported 1.1 million Haitians living in the United States. Nearly 490,000 of them are living in Florida alone. In 2016, Donald Trump won Florida by a margin of 1.2%, having more than 100,000 more votes than Hillary Clinton. Trump carried this victory to 2020, widening his lead by nearly 400,000, now over President Joe Biden. However, framing an entire ethnic group, one of the largest in the United States, as violent criminals who spread AIDS and eat pets is the easiest way to lose your home state. We're already seeing the fear-mongering affect Trump negatively because we mentioned earlier, he's losing his edge over Harris in Iowa, a state that was almost a sure bet for him 3 months ago. Look, there are many ways to win an election. Restarting the Salem witch trials 2 months before the election is not one of these ways to win it. All you do is fearmonger, and you make it seem as if an entire ethnic group, one that controls a big population number in your state, is the enemy. And you don't want to make someone the enemy when you're almost about to lose your home state. And I'm not saying this because I want Trump to win the election. I don't want him to fix his campaign. I'm saying this because there are real people being affected by the fear-mongering. Real people and real schools are being shut down due to threats. Real bomb threats are being made to businesses simply because they're owned by Haitian people, and Trump supporters are now believing that there's this grand cabal of Haitians hunting and eating pets. I have nothing to say today. I'm going to go take a shower. I'm going to go sleep. I'm going to go to therapy. I might just cry a little bit. But for now, I'm going to send it back to Johnny and Jordan in the studio.
Thanks, Jayce. You know, we were looking for him. We did not put him through that. He willingly did that to himself. And it feels like everybody in here just got hit by a tornado.
Yeah, I mean, I just certainly got my fair share of Jayce there.
And don't worry, folks. The election is still not even close. We are just under 2 months away from it. So we're going to be having a lot more of this coming up. But we'd like to thank you for tuning in to the updates tonight. You're going to find all your news and politics.
Tune in next week for more updates from the local level to the nationwide level.
From the update, I'm Johnny Valtman.
And I'm Jordan Tovar. Stay safe out there and have a wonderful night.